I memorized all of Mario Kart World. That's right, the whole game, unless you count the intermission courses, because there is no way I'm memorizing all that. For this challenge, I memorized the best online lands by adapting the world records to be much more consistent and a little easier. But before I show you how I did all that, you need to make sure you're subscribed so that you won't miss out on any of my insane Mario Kart World content, and so that you can join us on the journey to 1,000 subscribers. Anyway, here's how I memorized all of Mario Kart World. Alright guys, so there's like 4, kind of 5, I'll get to that in a second, but 4 really tracks that I kind of already memorized in this game. These tracks are Mario Bros Circuit, Salty Salty Speedway, Peach Stadium, and Whistle Stop Summit. So these tracks I already know kind of the meta tech on and everything. So these tracks I've already counted myself kind of completed. I even made a YouTube short explaining how to drive Mario Bros Circuit. I'm doing it right now. I know it really well. So we're just going to be doing the tracks that I don't know, which is every track in the game, except for these 4 which I've already memorized. The first track I decided to do was Airship Fortress because I really wanted to start with a track that I really liked and that I was excited to learn. This track took me quite a while compared to some of the later ones, but that's probably mostly because it was the first track I practiced. Oh, I just made a mistake that I'm probably going to make a lot in this video. That is accidentally like racing the ghost instead of viewing the ghost. So, oh, interesting, he's on a bike. Should I switch to the Drive Almost Rob Hog for this? No, let's do it with my main combo, which is Yoshi and the Baby Blooper. So we're looking at trick, trick, trick. Okay, so 3 tricks. One's an air trick, side trick, 1 trick. Oh, we're gonna go down here onto this rail, side trick. This looks pretty easy so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, side. So 5 in the side, tricking up here, doing tons of air tricks there. So I think I can do this. Alright, here's gonna be my first attempt at it. I'm really scared for this, man. I don't know how he actually got to that other rail. Already messed up. Gonna be a lot of rewinding. Oh, I made a mistake. Oh, almost. Okay, let's go back to the start. So how does he do that there, where he goes to the other rail? Oh, there we go. Oops. And does he trick? No. Oh yeah, he tricks. He doesn't even go on this upper rail over here. Yeah, there we go. It's literally just about getting that right wheel onto the track, and I think I can do that pretty confidently now. Let's try one more time. I might mess it up, but I think I can get it this time. Like I would when I'm doing online driving. Let's pretend that the next lap is an online race. Yes, literally all about the right wheel. Okay, I think I finally cracked the code and I'm comfortable on Airship Fortress. Now, let's move on. I then decided to get tracks that I was less excited to learn over with. The first of these was Moo Moo Meadows. It took me a while to grasp some of the tricks, and by the end of this challenge, it was probably my worst track in the game, but I would say I have memorized and can confidently play it online. After this, I memorized the lines for Toad's Factory when I ran into the first major issue of the video. Okay, so guys, I've run into a little problem. I've been learning the kind of tech on Toad's Factory, and I realized, oh, it doesn't actually use the rails. But then I realized that that's because you have mushrooms. So the shroomless version of this track does use the rails because that's way faster, and it makes sense because you're taking the super inside lines. How do I actually learn this for online driving? Because like I'm not sure which laps it's lined up properly for. Do I just have to do trial and error until I figure it out? I guess we're gonna rewind and just keep trying. Eventually though, I decided because this was gonna be for online lines, I would settle for either driving around or just taking the metal beams without going for the bulldozers. This track was pretty easy, but the same could not be said for the next track. Great Question Block Ruins. If you didn't know already, Great Question Block Ruins has a major shortcut on it that is among the hardest in the game. I went into this not knowing at all how I was going to do the shortcut, and let's just say it did not go well. Eventually, I decided to come back to this track later as it was just taking way too long. The next track I decided to conquer was Boo Cinema. This track was relatively easy with a few wall rides, and one thing that I was not excited to encounter: road tricking. Road tricking in Mario Kart World is where you trick on or off the edge of a road that doesn't have anything below it without really leaving the ground. Eventually though, I decided this does not necessarily fit online driving because when you're racing online, it's extremely rare to be able to take the lines necessary to road trick in the first place, so I focused more on the rest of the track, and I'd say I'm now really confident on it. Then I decided to learn Peach Beach, which was kind of uneventful but fun, and after that I went back to Great Question Block Ruins to try to get the shortcut down. Thankfully this time I was sort of able to understand it better and got a decent grasp on it. I still wanted to return to the track regularly so I could get it to a point where I could easily perform it online, but I was pretty confident that I could get to that point. Now I want to address a big issue in the plan, Bowser's Castle. You see, I had actually mastered the lines on Bowser's Castle because I was trying to learn the gap jump on this track earlier. The only problem is that it is the hardest shortcut in the game. I tried desperately to get it down to the point where I could pull it off online, but I just could not get it, so I decided to go for the easier wall ride shortcut instead. I still will try to get this shortcut down, it's just that it's the hardest shortcut in the game, so I'll need a lot more time to do that. Then I did Faraway Oasis, which was really fun, DK Spaceport, which was actually really challenging, and Drybones Burnout, which was really confusing. After this I came to Acorn Heights. This track is decently straightforward, except for the Shroomless cut right before the ending sequence. This cut took me quite a while to get down because of the different ways you can take it and the lack of tutorials on it on YouTube, but eventually I did indeed get the cut. After this was one of the funnest tracks in the game, being Shy Guy Bazaar. This track is basically one big shortcut, so it was super fun to master and not that hard, probably because I had many more hours of experience than when I started the challenge, simply because I was doing this challenge. I had practiced Great Question Block Ruins a few more times in between the past few courses, and it was at this point that I was hanging out with one of my friends, played Mario Kart World with him in tabletop mode, and got this clip. Now even though this was offline, I was able to get the shortcut in a race for the first try ever, and it was in a knockout tour. At this point I counted how many tracks I had done, and I was pretty surprised by my progress, which really motivated me to get this challenge done. Then I encountered my worst enemy of all time, Wario Stadium. Wario Stadium is a very technical track with a massive and super difficult shortcut and two smaller shortcuts that are decently hard. I spent an entire afternoon and a lot of an evening trying to get confident with this track, and I was finally able to get it down pretty well. That evening, after I had mastered Wario Stadium, I discovered my favorite combo in the whole game. That same evening though, I ran into a problem. People were discovering shortcuts on tracks that I already knew. So I started learning the Salty Speedway Shroomless Aircut and continued on to Crown City. This track wasn't too difficult and has a really fun and important aircut that makes up the entire ending sequence. The next day I did DK Pass, which yet again has an important aircut and also a cool gap jump. After this, I also breezed through Starview Peak, Sky High Sundae, Rainbow Road, and Dandelion Deaths. The following day was dedicated to the two final tracks, Dino Dino Jungle and Mario Circuit. I completed Koopa Beach early that day too, but it barely took me any time to complete, so that day I focused on those two tracks. And now finally, I was done. Except, I wasn't. You might have noticed that I didn't mention three tracks, Cheap Cheap Falls, Desert Hills, and Choco Mountain. The reason for this is that I forgot to record footage for all three of these tracks. Cheap Cheap Falls, I could tell you I did early in the challenge, Desert Hills I can tell you I did later into the challenge, and Choco Mountain I did on the morning of the final day. But since those tracks had already been completed, why was I not done? Well, there was one track I literally forgot about until today. Either way, I completed the track with relative ease, and the challenge was over. Honestly, this challenge took quite a bit of time, but it wasn't too difficult, and now I can say that I've memorized all of Mario Kart World.